This is the Right Guys podcast, where we are thankful for everything in our lives. And now your hosts, Josh Hammerling and Max McGuire.
Back to another edition of the Right Guys podcast. My name is Max McGuire.
I'm Josh Hammerling. Happy Thanksgiving week, Max.
Happy Thanksgiving week. Lots to be thankful for.
Did you move into a new house? That's not your usual digs there. What's going on?
I'm visiting family. Took the kids to visit some family.
Nice.
So it's nice. It's nice getting out of town a little bit, seeing friends and family. Yeah. Got a little bit of a scare. Thought we might have had COVID.
Really?
Which I'm not particularly afraid of, but
yeah.
When your goal is to visit grandparents and your parents and go out and about, right, it becomes a lot harder to do that if you have the dreaded COVID-19. But we believe it was a false positive because we've tested everyone multiple times, again, negative. So we're going off of it being a negative. That's what we're going off of.
Cool. Well, I hope everyone's doing okay. Hope everyone stays healthy. Everybody gets to hang out, enjoy the turkey, the potatoes, and all the trimming. What's your favorite food on Thanksgiving? If you have
I love stuffing. I love the stuffing.
You're a stuffing guy, really?
Yeah. I put sausage in the stuffing. Oh,
okay, that sounds good.
So it tastes really good. Sage sausage, is a trick there. Usually, I like to smoke my turkey. Which since I'm traveling, I'm not going to be able to do that this year. So we're just going to cook it the old-fashioned way in the oven. I tried to introduce my family to spatchcocking the turkey, which is when you basically break the spine, spread it out flat, cooks faster, cooks more evenly. But they're not into that.
No.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, I guess.
Cool. Absolutely.
You got anything planned? You got anything planned this?
We're spending it with the Weiss family this year. They decided, since the family was so big, to actually go to a local restaurant. This will be the first time I'll go to a restaurant for Thanksgiving. But I've got a backup the same day and the evening at my parents' place, so I'll get two of them. But it'll be really interesting.
You always have a backup.
Because I want leftovers. I want to be able to take the mashed potatoes, put corn on it, put some turkey on it, some cranberry, right? Or make a sandwich. My favorite is a sandwich with turkey, cranberry, yellow mustard. Try that, dude. It's sweet and sour. Changes your life. So this is one of my favorite times of the year. You know what I mean?
Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday. And I do Thanksgiving. And then afterwards, like a few days later, have what I call thanks again. Which is when you really have like a sit down, eat the meal all over again. Since I was traveling, I actually added a new meal to the Thanksgiving holiday. Which I call thanks in advance. It's when you go to Costco, get a rotisserie chicken and get all the Costco sides, and you have a meal about a week before just to get ready to go.
Warmed up. Yeah.
So thanks in advance, Thanksgiving, and thanks again. My 3 holidays in a week. Gotta spread that. Spread that.
Tomorrow's gonna be so much fun. I'm gonna be so full. It's like that one day of the year I wear my stretchy pants, right? That's why you get, for if you conceal carry a weapon, you gotta have those belts that open and close with ease. So that's
have you seen the I don't know the brand name. It's a brand of like athletic pants and shorts that have built-in belts into them for concealed carry.
What? Yeah, you send that to me. I want to test that out. I will test that out.
I see them on Facebook all the time. Arrowhead Tactical, not a sponsor. This is not an ad. But I'll go ahead and put it on the screen in a second. There we go.
Wow, this would be interesting. I'm interested because it's hard to carry, man. Like it's an art to carry a weapon, especially in shorts and summertime stuff. Interesting.
So these are athletic shorts, and they have a built-in retention belt, or you can upgrade the retention belt. And so you can carry appendix, you can carry 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock. I haven't tried them. I was just wondering if maybe you had any experience with them.
No, it looks like I'm about to spend $40.
Well, it looks like they're having a Black Friday deal. So
I
guess now's the time to do it, right?
I'm putting it in the old computer here. Hold on. Tactical. Now I know what I'm asking for Christmas. It's either that or Lululemon, and I just don't know. No, I'm not.
Well, they have joggers. They seem to have a bunch. So not a sponsor, but it'd be cool if they were sponsored.
Cool company.
So we've got a lot to get into. So let's get into it, and I have something I want to talk about a little bit at the end. But let's get right into it. Lots to be thankful for.
Oh yeah.
Lots, lots to wish. There's lots that we wish was different, right? There's obviously we're thankful for a lot of things, but we also recognize that the country is much worse off with Joe Biden in office than it possibly could have been with him sitting in Delaware doing whatever it is he was doing there.
Yeah.
So there's lots that we want to change, obviously, and that's what our podcast is about: highlighting what needs to be changed, highlighting what's wrong in the country, but also presenting paths forward, ideas, policy prescriptions. What's been crazy? Did you do the shopping for your family? Oh, you're going to eat, so you didn't have to do Thanksgiving shopping. Have you ventured into a grocery store?
You bet. Well, we help buy some of the groceries for one side of the family. We just go there and we've been checking it out. We spend a lot of time in the store. I shop because I make a lot of my own food, and I was shocked at the prices of certain things. Max, ham was 100% more this year than it was last year, because we wanted to do like maybe a honey baked ham. We thought we'd take to one of the events, and it's almost $60-70 for a honey baked ham now. I remember when $40 was a lot for honey baked ham, and I love honey baked ham. It is one of my favorites out there. And now we're just looking at getting something at the Costco. Well, we got something at just the local Costco that was half the price. You know what I mean? But it was still just insanely expensive. 100%. I've never seen it in my lifetime.
Well, we've seen a lot of people running away from turkeys, because unless you're somewhere where they have really cheap turkeys are very expensive. So people have been trying to get into ham, rotisserie chickens, but all that price, unless you go to Costco where it's the same price every year, rotisserie chickens, everything's up. And what feels ridiculous is when you go out shopping, you see that everything's up. You recognize that everything's up, but you have these liberals chirping in your ear that Bidenomics is working, everything's down. They're saying everything's down. And it feels like I'm living in the Twilight Zone, like Bizarro World or some alternate universe, because you can very clearly see that things are up. But the official narrative being pushed is say you're welcome, say thank you, everything's down. A lot of this got kicked off over the weekend, this past week, by a tweet that Jason Chaffetz put out. I don't know if you saw it. He put out this tweet, "Happy Thanksgiving," showing a turkey. And this is like one of the nicest turkeys you can get. They're from California. People are joking it's a woke turkey. It's 100% vegetarian, raised with no antibiotics, free range. It's just a nice turkey. But he bought it, a 22-pound turkey, for $4.99 a pound, which is how much that costs if you want to get a really, really nice turkey. Right. And that was at Myers, which is a grocery store.
Yeah.
People are making fun of him because they're saying, "Oh, how dumb are you? Turkeys are
what? Turkeys are expensive." I totally agree. And it looks like we lost Max there. So he was showing it's $114
a pound.
Oh, there you are. Sorry, you cut out for like the longest, so I thought you left. I apologize.
I could hear you. People think that it's cheap, but they don't understand how the pricing works. And I figure we could talk about this a little bit, because I imagine there's going to be people who watch this show, listen to this show, who are having these conversations at the dinner table. We're going to be talking with people who are left of center on the aisle around the table. Be nice, be respectful, their family, their friends. But you're probably going to get the false bill of goods that turkeys are cheaper this year.
Max, everything's down 4%. Everything.
Everything's so much. Such savings. So much savings. Here's an example. This is someone online who posted this picture: a 16-pound turkey, regular price $2.68 a pound, would be $44. It was on sale for 39 cents a pound. So they paid $6.
Wow.
Look, that's Bidenomics. They tell you Bidenomics is working. Look how cheap it is.
No.
Here's another one. Instead of it being $1.99 a pound, it was 79 cents a pound. So they only paid $10 instead of $25. Congratulations, they say. This is Bidenomics working. The problem is these are being put on sale. These are below cost. I mean, you look at this one that's 39 cents a pound, that is below cost. You cannot raise, slaughter, freeze, transport, and sell a turkey for 39 cents a pound. That is below cost. And that is what the retail industry calls a loss leader.
Yeah.
If you think about Costco, their rotisserie chickens are always $5.99 in the back of the store, right?
Mm-hmm.
The hot dogs, $1.50. They've said that they will always be that price. They'll always be that price, even if they lose money on it, because people come into the store just for that. And the reason that the Costco rotisserie chickens are all the way at the back of the Costco store is because they want you to walk past everything that's full price on the way there before you get the loss leader item. I bought a turkey for the family here. We got it for free, but we had to spend $400, right?
Oh my gosh.
Spend $400, get it, and you spend $400 over a couple months. So you get it free anyway. But they didn't have it marked at Supersale at ShopRite here in New Jersey because they're not treating it as a loss leader. They're treating it as a reward. Spend $400, get a free turkey. That's the reward. But if you didn't do that, the price is what the price is, $1.99. And that is set up so that they still profit for people who just buy it without spending all that money to get the free turkey.
Yeah.
What's frustrating is you have liberals touting Bidenomics, and they say, look how cheap a turkey is. Bidenomics is clearly working. I can get a turkey for 39 cents a pound. Thank you, Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue the opposite.
Yeah.
A store that needs to sell a turkey that low, that cheaply, just to get you in the door is a store that is really hurting. If the store expected you to come shop and spend a bunch of money anyway, they wouldn't be pricing the turkeys below cost. Have to. This is because what we've seen across the industry, people tightening their belts, eating less, buying less on groceries because times are much harder now than they were before Joe Biden took office. So you look at this and it's such a disconnect. They say that this is the sign that the economy is going well, when by all accounts, it's a sign the economy isn't doing well. You don't price a turkey below cost when the economy is doing well. You just don't.
I think it's also a sign of how poorly people are doing too, because the only way you can win their business now is to have such a loss leader on the turkey that it draws you in, right? They are fighting the consumer battle. They're trying to draw you in with the lowest price, so you come in and pay full price for cranberries, or you pay full price for potatoes, right? Just in the event to make profit somewhere, they'll do that. They do it all the time. Every store does it. It doesn't matter what they are. There's a loss leader in there, but I think it's a real indicator that people don't have a lot of money to spend. The economy's just too weak. There aren't people like really that have the disposable income to spend the extra buck on the nice things, right? And that's what's happening. That's what we're seeing. So if Bidenomics means that loss leaders are the best thing to get in the store, well, that means that means the recovery is also a loss leader. It's not real. It's fake. A loss lead is fake. It's just designed to suck you in, and it works. That's why they do it.
Yeah.
Oh,
so the way the news is covering this is that the feast itself as a whole, even if turkey is slightly down, and even if you can get turkey for bottom of the barrel prices, which everyone knows. I mean, you don't want to spend what Jason Chaffetz spent on his turkey. That's obscene.
No, but
you also understand that if you're buying a 39-cent turkey, you are not getting the nicest turkey that you could possibly buy, even in that under $2 range. They're not giving you the best birds. So even if turkey is a slightly less expensive overall than it was last year, the price of everything else has gone up.
Way up.
Prices. So they're saying that wholesale prices for turkeys are down 30%, but that's only been manifested as a 9% decrease for people, the buyers. What buyers see. Cranberries, a can of cranberries is 60% more expensive than it was last year.
Yeah.
Pumpkin pie is 30% more expensive than it was last year.
It's insane. That's insane. We make our own cranberries. We bought the raw cranberries, just cranberries in a bag. Max, it was up almost like 40 cents a bag. You can get cranberries for next to nothing. 3 years ago, 4 years ago, they would give away cranberries, right? Because they could not sell them. Now they want almost $3 or $4 a bag for something that costs like $1. I mean, it was insane how much the sweet potatoes, the yams were costing. The rolls were through the roof. If you want the nice rolls, they were expensive. They're super expensive. If you want to buy the flour to make your own rolls, that was up. I mean, there was nothing that we walked to the store where my wife and I said to ourselves, wow, that's cheaper. It just wasn't.
Yeah.
And
it's
the other
not
thing
just
is,
that the go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say, once you run out of the loss leader turkeys they have for those prices, they just put out the turkeys at full price.
Yeah.
So only a few people get the super cheap turkey, but they take a picture and put it on social media. Look, we're celebrating. Look how low it is, until the guy behind you is buying the $114 turkey. That one's still like, woo.
And that is why when you calculate the consumer price index, you don't usually calculate Black Friday prices. So like what you said, you look at a Black Friday circular and there's, oh my goodness, I can get a 75-inch TV for $400. Oh my goodness.
Crazy.
The fine print says we have 3 available. First 3 people in store get it. Everyone else, the price jumps back up to $600, $700, $800. So buying something really cheap as a loss leader to get people in the store, because they're not making money when they're selling the TVs that cheap. The real loss leaders that they only have a couple. That doesn't indicate the cost to buy a TV. Just because a few people purchased a TV for a cheap price doesn't mean that is the average cost to buy a television. Which is why when you calculate the CPI, you usually don't take Black Friday and Christmas pricing into account, because those prices are deliberately driven low to drive people into the stores. In the stores. So, I mean, I it's easy. I can understand why leftists will look at this and say, wow, the economy is doing so great. Look how cheap a turkey is. Oh my goodness, this is great. Thanks,
this is amazing. Bidenomics.
Thanks, Biden. Right. But unless you get the first, they probably only have one display of those turkeys. And after that, as you said, the expensive ones get put out.
Once they're gone, they're gone. And it sucks, because the idea that people would just start promoting something based on deals, sales, right? These are sales that are put up there just to suck you into the store. And if that's how you find an affordable Thanksgiving dinner now, is you have to find all the deals, it's because it's a sign of a weak economy. People don't have cash in their pockets to spend, and it's bad, Max. I mean, there were people when I was shopping, and we live in a fairly high socioeconomic zip code, right? I mean, everyone around us is some of the richest in Colorado, but there were still people standing. It doesn't mean we're all rich, right? It just means that some. But we're standing around there and we're all debating, do we do yams or we do potatoes right now? Now I have to make choices on a time of year where it's usually a feast, right? Where it's a time to show plenty and thank you, to put a lot of stuff on the table so you can enjoy all the things you don't have during the year. And now we have to scale back on that. Our celebrations are getting smaller, and they hate the celebration on top of it. So not only do they not like Thanksgiving, I can't afford to put those amazing things on the table to celebrate the things that I have.
And the flip side of it is, people can't afford to invite everyone, because usually these are feasts where you invite everyone. Your cousins in town, bring them. Bring them. Let's all gather. Now, when you have to really budget, you look at this and say, okay, how many people am I having? Okay, that's locked in. No more additions. And from people I've talked to, and I'm sure there's other people who have different experiences, the gatherings are getting smaller, not because people hate each other or mad at each other, but because they can't afford to travel, because gas and airfare is expensive. But also, it just doesn't make sense to buy 2 turkeys to feed twice as many people. The other side of this inflation, which I've noticed, so it's been really interesting grocery shopping in New Jersey after just grocery shopping for my thanks in advance meal I just had last week. In Texas, I've been able to really buy the same items in Texas versus New Jersey, and it's been shocking at how much more expensive it is in New Jersey, but also shocking how much smaller the packages are here. In Texas, he can get a better deal on a 5-pound bag of potatoes. Here in New Jersey, if you want to pay that same amount for potatoes, oh, congratulations, it's on sale, but you only get a 2-pound bag or a 2.5-pound bag. So the shrinkflation is very, very real. Even if the price has not increased a ton, the size of the container and the size of the product, the amount of product, has gone down as well. And I can tell you, there's a brand of stuffing that we use, a bag stuffing, that I've used for years. And I know exactly how many onions I need, how many sticks of things of celery I need to make it. And I noticed that the bag was smaller when I looked at the back and saw that the recommended onion and celery amounts were less than I have traditionally used. Right. So then I look at the size. I was like, huh, that's 50% less than it was 2 years ago.
Right. They starts with an ounce, and it starts with 2 ounces missing, and then 3, right? Because I mean, you slowly introduce it. We were shocked because we were trying to buy cornflakes for one of the breadings. We're like, cornflakes makes a great breading on fried food if you didn't know, but it was super expensive. Like cereal has gotten smaller and more expensive. Boxes that used to last, a couple of days are gone in just a few meals because they've reduced the size of the bag inside of it by half. But I'm paying 10 cents more, right? So that's how it hides at first, and then it really shows up once that gets out of the way, and then the price is really good because you can only shrink it so much before the consumer's like, whoa, what's going on? And we're at that point, right? We're really seeing all of the belt tightening happen here. It's going to get worse in December, I think, especially with consumer prices on just available goods, man. It's going to be a nightmare. I could see people really putting themselves into serious debt this year, just trying to afford the holiday stuff. Imagine the people that spent money they didn't have to try to put food on the turkey table this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's huge. We all want to be able to feed our families, but we can't feed ourselves on a normal day to day, and now we can't afford the big meal we're supposed to be thankful for, and it makes Thanksgiving hard.
Yeah, I went and got ice cream for my son. He's like, I want ice cream. So I went to the grocery store, grabbed it, and it just felt light. And I looked at it, and it wasn't a half gallon anymore. It was like 1.6782 quarts. Well, that's not a half gallon. It's just they've shrunk it. They've shrunk it by 25%. It's crazy. So we have this just to show people, while the Biden administration is celebrating year over year that some things might be a little bit less expensive than they were last year. It's always good to kind of take a step back and think about what were things like before COVID, before Joe Biden got his grubby paws on everything. That is being put around on social media, comparing the average price in 2019 to the average price in 2023. And there is not a single thing that is cheaper now. Oh, sorry, whipped cream, which is probably more processed, less fresh. Cranberries seem to be the same exact price from 2019, which I don't know if I believe that. But overall, if you were to buy all of these things for your feast, your price of your feast would be going from $46 to $70.
Wow. I knew sweet potatoes got hit hard, man, but that's more than a doubling on sweet potatoes. Already in a sector of the economy that's propped up by federal dollars on top of it. This is crazy. I don't see how this continues, Max. I love how they're saying prices are down 4%, but since Joe Biden took office, we're up 30 to 40% on just about everything. Yeah. And imagine when the real gas crunch pricing starts happening, because they've already been flittering away all of the strategic oil reserve, trying to artificially deflate prices. Once it gets to a point where they don't put that out there, I mean, imagine adding $7 a gallon gas on top of going to next year's Thanksgiving, or even the expensive prices for this year's Thanksgiving. I mean, it's almost $4 something a gallon here. And I can only imagine what it's like, because there's a processing plant or a refinery near Colorado. So our prices kind of stay a little below average. But if you're in LA, if you're on the East Coast, your gas prices they've got to be six something per gallon right now. And I haven't looked in a while. So I mean, that's the other cost of it, right? How much it costs just to drive to where you want to go. Across town can become unaffordable in a monthly budget now. You can't go see grandma because you can't afford the gas. I mean, how many people are telling me, we'd like to do that, but we can't afford it. Because I sell gym memberships, and the first thing to go when economy goes bad is the little things like gym memberships, getting your house cleaned by someone else, the person who mows your lawn. You know what I mean? The extra car wash that you get. All these sectors just start tanking.
Me and my wife have ditched almost all of those.
Yeah, because you have to, man. They become unaffordable, right? And you find ways to either fill it in or you get rid of it. And that puts people out of work. It just does. If you own your own business and you rely on the service industry in some way, you get destroyed. Like the middle class gets absolutely set on fire by this, Max. And that's what really pisses me off, because it affects the normal people,
It does. The good news is that there's a lot of really giving people and giving organizations out there. And we're seeing more and more across this country. People are taking advantage. I mean, it's a feel-good story, but it's also an enraging story to realize that so many people are experiencing such hardship that they need to wait in line for a free turkey, or they need to take advantage of a soup kitchen. But we're seeing that as that need grows, that organizations and philanthropists are answering the call and donating and providing more free meals to people who really need it and would go hungry without. What made my blood boil, and this is a story that's really been making the rounds here on the East Coast. I don't know if it's gotten to you yet. As people are aware, New York City has some of the people hardest hit from this inflation, from the economic downturn, and the reliance on food kitchens and soup kitchens, food pantries, through the roof. And there's a tradition in New York, especially in areas around public housing, where organizations come in and they hand out free turkeys.
Wow.
Nice. It's not a lot, but it's something to help people avoid the cost of having to buy a turkey. That way they could just have it, right? In Queens, there is this tradition where they do that. And this year, the Americans living in Queens woke up to get in line for their free turkey. And they were shocked to find out that the line already stretched around the building because the illegal aliens got there first to claim them. So I'm sure this hasn't gotten you yet. It's bubbling here. Imagine you are waking up in a Biden economy, can't afford to get turkey, haven't budgeted for it, said to yourself, don't worry. Every year they hand out free turkeys. There's never a fight. There's never a rush. They always have enough for everyone. They tell you be downstairs in the courtyard at 11 a.m. You show up at 10:30, and there's a bunch of illegal aliens already lined up around the building. And by the time you get in line, there isn't a turkey for you.
Wow. That's a kick in the face. I mean, I'm here. Oh, I don't even know where to start on this. First off, I always knew that having illegal aliens here was going to be a problem, but this has gone from helping people to feeling like they're stealing from us. And I know this is giveaway, Max, but this is like stealing from Americans. Charity is being gobbled up by people who really don't want or need it, I think, because a lot of them, if they don't like the situation they're in, they just go to the next town where they get better free services, right? We saw that happen from Chicago to New York. So they're just going to show up places where they're handing out free turkeys and just gobble up what's around there for their own use, and then actually leave the people that need the help in destitution still, right? They still have all those problems. To me, it feels like they're just stealing left and right. They're stealing our charity. They're stealing our goodwill. They're stealing our freedom and the very nature of this country. And
it goes further than that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, this is no different than what happens in public education. When, just because it's a turkey, we can all look at a turkey and say, oh, wow, the turkeys all went to the migrants and there were no turkeys for the poor Americans who were counting on it for their Thanksgiving meal. It's not all that different from what happens in the public school system. When you have a kid who wants to learn and needs to learn to get ahead in life, to get that education, and all of a sudden their class is pushed way past capacity, and there's people in class speaking all different languages that the teacher doesn't speak, that ends up stealing education from the American students in class. This isn't a multi-sum game, right? It's not a situation where you can just throw 60 kids in a class that's only supposed to hold 40 and everyone gets the same education. No, the more kids you put in the classroom, the less education can be doled out, the less attention can be doled out to any of the other kids. It's the same with the healthcare sector, Josh.
Yeah.
When you have illegal aliens walking into the healthcare sector and getting free or heavily subsidized healthcare, well, that doesn't make your healthcare cheaper. If anything, it makes your prices higher, because if the hospital can't collect on the illegal aliens who can't pay their bills, they raise the prices on everyone else.
Absolutely. And it gets more and more expensive, and you see it in every sector. You see it in the store, you see it at the pump, you see it in charity, which is what really blows me away. Remember when I played that video for you of the Halloween candy that was looked like it was just being completely gobbled up? What we think's is an immigrant family. I mean, that kind of encapsulated what's going on with all of the illegals in the country. They're just gobbling everything up from you. And if you're giving stuff away at the kindness of your heart, they're happy to sit there and steal it, because it feels like everything's being stolen from me. And if they start voting, they start taking away my freedom. They start taking away what matters most to me. So whose country is it? Is it my country or is it theirs? Is it your country or is it theirs? I ask this all the time. And it seems like the Democratic Party is completely fine with making it someone else's country and not yours, because all they care about is getting that damn vote.
Yeah.
I'm tired of giving crap away for free. I'm tired of being stolen from. The fabric of my culture is being completely ripped up and stolen.
There was So in the 1980s, there was a phenomenon called the Mariel boat lift. And this was when a bunch, let me check the actual numbers, 125,000 Cubans got on boats, rafts, and fled Cuba to go to Florida. The Mariel boat lift. And what ended up happening is most of these people settled in the Miami area. Now you have a bustling Cuban diaspora now in Miami, but when this originally happened, it had devastating impacts on the local economy. And because it was such a sudden jolt, an increase in people living in the area, we can go back and we can look at the actual numbers of what the cause and effect, what the effect was of putting all of these people suddenly in the same metro area. And the research that's been done on this has found basically three things. The cost to rent a home or an apartment went up. I want to say, let me get the exact number. I have it here. I put it in my book, just pulling it up.
Yeah.
The amount of people renting homes went up 9%. Ooh. And as a result, the cost to rent or lease an apartment or condo went up 8 to 11%, just overnight. Just overnight. Wages went down. Wages went down, and the average wage for the least skilled worker in Miami, someone who was a high school dropout, declined substantially by 10 to 30%. Oh, gosh. So they're not coming after white collar jobs, college graduate jobs, master's, PhD jobs. They're not. But in this one area of Miami, they can prove definitively that when you have a significant influx of low skill workers, it drives the wages down for low skill workers, because they'll have all this competition going up against people who are willing to work for less. So you had 8 to 11% more expensive housing, 10 to 30% lower wages for the lower skilled workers. And as a result, they saw the birth rate among people who were living in Miami plummet. People stop having babies. They stop having babies because the rent went up and their wages either stagnated or went down. Wow. That is a microcosm, a very small case study, but it shows what happens when you have a large influx of people into the same area. In this country, if we could spread everyone out, probably wouldn't see an effect that significant. But they're seeing it in New York. 125,000 illegal aliens bust in New York by Florida and Texas. They're feeling it in New York. They're feeling it in New York. And I feel sorry for the people of New York who now have to go through. They just announced they're cutting the budget for the police.
I saw.
Because the illegal aliens have cost them billions of dollars, they're cutting the budget for police. And they're begging Biden to give them more money. These are the same people who laughed at Texas having to absorb all these people for decades. Right? They looked at Texas, oh, you're a big state, you can absorb it. not realizing that you still have these costs, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, they're starting to realize that the costs associated with illegal immigration. The sad thing is, they don't seem to realize yet that the border needs to be secured. They're
Yeah,
still
which is fun.
advocating open borders. They're just doing it from a NIMBYism, a NIMBY kind of approach, not in my backyard. Send them anywhere else.
Yeah. I mean, if you see such a decline when 100,000 people show up to a small city, what happens when you let 8 million in?
Yeah.
8 million, and then, probably another 8 million before that, because there was never any real documentation. Really, the illegal immigration started kind of in the 90s. That's when they started pouring over the border. So how many have come in since, let's say, 1999, right? Let's put that number out there. I bet you it is in the 20s of millions. And imagine what that does to not just small economies, but big economies, right? You start seeing
Yeah.
shifts in large warehouse type jobs. The food service industry changed overnight. It used to be the springboard for people getting out of school and getting their first job. Now it's almost exclusively held by illegal immigrants. The cleaning services industry, some of the landscape industries have almost been completely taken over. The construction industry has also taken over, and it's destroyed a lot of people that I know who own construction companies, people that were in business as framers and painters, and not so much plumbers and electricians, but a lot of those people that do the framing, like they were put out of business because there would be a van that pulls up with 18 guys in it, and they still do the same job that he did, and he can't do it in the same amount of time because they're all making less than minimum wage. They're living out of that van and eating out of that van. It destroyed small construction companies. But it's not a problem. It's not a problem until a blue city has it on their doorstep, and now it's a real problem. I mean, where the F were you when all this stuff was happening to Texas? Where was it happening when it was happening to Colorado? It starts happening in California, and they didn't care then. So why do they suddenly care now?
Because it affects them.
Yep, because it bothers them. And it just pisses me off. Because we were told we were liars for the long time. They're going after jobs you don't want. Bullshit. They're doing things that no one else will do. And you're proving that right now with what I think you're going to be putting down in a new book here. Is that that's just not true. Everybody wants and needs those jobs. Every job in an economy matters. And it doesn't necessarily.
I'll give you a little tidbit on this. This is in my book, which, by the way, it'll be out probably in the next month or so. I have to do a lot of editing. Can't do it when I'm traveling. But in New York, most of the illegal aliens are doing food delivery jobs. So only a handful, only like 5-10% have actually signed up for work permits, because what the rest have realized is they can pay an American to use their Uber Eats account. So they're doing Uber Eats, they're doing DoorDash using the rented bicycles or rented scooters. And that's how they're making money. They'll give a kickback to the American who owns the account, and then basically they'll do it illegally under someone else's account. So they're doing the food delivery work. They'll show up to a restaurant, pick up the food on a little rented bike, and drop it off where it needs to go. But this is having a devastating effect on the Americans who do this work, because for years there has been a push to not only unionize these workers, but also to organize them to stop accepting the jobs for pennies. The way that these delivery apps tend to work is that when you put an order in for food as a purchaser, it goes out to bid for all the people in the area who wants to deliver this food. And usually the app, whether it's Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, whatever, will offer a very small amount of money, $2 to go 5 miles. Most of us would say, hey, that's not worth it. So there's been a push in New York to get all of the drivers, the delivery drivers, to not accept the small payouts, because once the purchaser has already bought the food, the company has an obligation to deliver it. They increase the offer. They increase the offer. It'll go from $2 to $3 to $4 to $5 until they get someone to bite. So what these drivers have been doing in New York is they've had a real effort to stop drivers from taking the low offers. And it hasn't been that hard, because with gas prices up, there's no profit to be made when you're getting paid $2 to drive from one side of the city to the other. When you bring in the illegal alien workers, they are willing to work for the pennies, because they don't have to pay car insurance. They don't have to pay for a car. They are just hopping. Yep. They're just hopping on the little bike that you can rent in New York for maybe $1 for an hour, whatever it is. They hop on one of those bikes, ride, get the food, ride, deliver it, and still profit. So not only are they taking the jobs, those actual delivery jobs, but they are driving the wages down because the American workers, delivery drivers, now say, okay, well, if I don't take the jobs, then I'm not going to have any, because then the illegal aliens would just claim all of them for less. So all of a sudden, they're now working for less. It's literally an example of illegal immigration driving wages down in real time, and not a situation where you're talking about unskilled workers. Most of these people, these are second, third jobs, just trying to make a little extra money.
Yeah.
Really, really devastating.
The side hustle goes away, and people have a side hustle because they need the money, right? And if that side hustle doesn't work there, where else are they going to start making money? If there's no jobs out there where they can start making side money, usually people turn to things that are illegal to, fill in the gap on what they earn. And that's where crime comes into play on this, right?
Yeah.
Because if you can't legally make money, you're going to feed your family anyway. So a lot of those Americans will probably turn to selling drugs, sex work, sex trafficking, stuff like that. Stealing. That's the other thing, is how much stealing have you seen in these big dim blue cities where you have a lot of immigration, and it's happening.
I took the kids to Walmart, and because they wanted to get a toy. So I got them 2 scooters and 2 Nerf guns. Yeah. Right. So we went through checkout. The kids are in the cart. They're holding their toys, checked out. Fine. I get to the exit, and there's a man there saying, I need to see your receipt. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, this isn't Costco. I don't have to show you anything. And I said, actually, no, I'm good. I just checked out. You can check your security cameras. I'm good. He actually puts his hands on my cart and stops me from moving and says, show me your receipt right now. And he's putting his hands on the cart when my kids are in the cart. So at that point, I'm saying, F you, I'm not showing you anything. So this is the line I always use. Do you suspect me of stealing? And he says, no, I do not. And I say, get your hands off my cart. I'm leaving. If a shop owner suspects you of stealing, they can always stop you, at least momentarily, to make sure you're not stealing. But if someone says, I do not suspect you of stealing, they have no right to impede my movement whatsoever.
Yeah.
So he still kept trying to stop me. I said, check the security camera. I paid. It's all good. Get off. And I jerked the cart away, walked out the door. But I understand his job. People are stealing stuff, right? People are stealing stuff at an alarming rate. So I understand why he's doing his job, but I just stood online for 10 minutes. I have 2 choices: either stay online for 10 minutes or be the cashier myself, right? Mm-hmm. And if you're the cashier yourself, you know what happens if you make a mistake and you don't scan everything accidentally? Not saying that I do that, but you know what happens if you don't scan everything accidentally and then they demand your receipt and they see that you don't? Guess what? You just stole from them.
Yeah.
Even though you're doing their job, and even though you weren't trained to do their job, if you make a mistake, it's a crime. If the cashier makes a mistake, it's not a crime. It's a mistake. So in this time of cracking down on shoplifting, highly recommend that everyone use the actual paid cashiers, because if you make even the slightest mistake, they can get you arrested for theft.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. We're almost out of time. I want to make sure we get to what we actually are thankful for. We've spent 40 minutes talking about how bad everything is, but there is a lot to be thankful for. So, Josh, I'll let you start off. What are you most thankful for?
Yeah, I'm going to start at the top. First, I'm thankful I've got a God in my life. Second, I've got a wife that's incredible, and I've got a great family. I'm very thankful for that. My friends. I'm thankful that I get to do this show with you on a tri-weekly basis, right? It's those little things. It's the friends, the family, the fun. That's what I'm really thankful for. And as much as our societal cultural cloth is being completely ripped up, I do everything in my power to make sure that I get to sew it back together. So I'm thankful I get to fight for that, and all of you, and you as my friend. I'm thankful for you as my friend, because I hang out with you more than just about anybody else, and it's almost always virtually, which is kind of funny, right? Yeah. It's like, but that's it. I'm not it. I'm thankful for a whole bunch of stuff, but in a nutshell, that's where I'm at on you.
It's funny. For the longest time, I had never even seen your face. I'd always just heard you just through my ear or through headphones. So I remember the first time I met you, you had obviously always seen me because I'm always on camera.
Yeah.
When you were the producer at Conservative Daily, you always saw my face. I didn't immediately connect that you were Josh.
Yeah.
So I wasn't nearly as friendly when I
Right.
first saw you for the first time. I was like, oh, hi.
It's like, wow, he's kind of a dick.
No, I didn't make the connection.
Yeah, I know. I
But
remember.
when we started, I was already out of Colorado. I wasn't seeing
Yeah.
you on a daily basis.
At all. No.
And you hadn't been on camera for the longest time. So yeah, I'm super thankful for you that we can do the show. I just to let everyone know, I told Josh this weekend that this past week, I want him to talk more. And he was like, no, I just enjoy hanging out with you.
I'm just kind of here to listen.
I said, that's cool, but I do want you to talk more.
Yeah.
So I'm super thankful, Josh, super thankful to everyone watching, listening, that we can do the show. Really excited as we grow it. Our last episode got some pretty good numbers. So if you haven't checked that out, check that out for sure. I'm thankful, obviously, for my wife, my kids. They are growing up. They're really nice and kind. They fight with each other, but I'm really happy and proud of the kids that they're becoming. Super happy to be here with my parents and my sister and extended family. So really happy for that. Happy that even though we had a slight COVID scare, that everyone is still generally healthy and happy and good to go. There's really a lot can go wrong and you have no control over it. So you have to really take advantage and enjoy the time that you do have together. And that's a really good call for anyone who has a petty squabble or fight with a sibling or an extended family member. It's time to squash that beef because there's so much going on. You can't be fighting over something that happened years ago that no one even remembers anymore. Yeah. So that's what I'm super thankful for. And I'm really excited as we grow the show to see how much higher we can take this thing.
Yeah.
Before we end, I did want to bring up one last thing.
Okay.
I wanted to mention a friend of mine who passed away this morning. His name is Chris Slattery. Chris Slattery was an icon in the pro-life movement. He was a trailblazer. He operated a bunch of pregnancy centers in New York City. He has been fighting the pro-life movement since 1979. And we lost him this morning to cancer.
Oh.
So I only got to know Chris in the last couple of years of his life, but he had a huge heart. He was incredibly generous, and up until the end, he was giving of himself to try and help as many people, help as many women, help as many babies as possible. So I just wanted to mention him, how that we lost one of the good ones today. But as my dad likes to say, he's not in our past, he's in our future. And so I'd ask for everyone to pray for Chris, pray for his family. And if you want to consider donating to help his pregnancy center continue, the pregnancy center was taken over by Compass Care. So Compass Care was the other pregnancy center in New York, upstate New York, that was vandalized by abortion advocates and then terrorists. And then the FBI refused to investigate and stole their security camera footage. So if you want to help donate to keep his pregnancy centers up and running so that his legacy in New York fighting against the evil of abortion continues, you can do so at Compass Care. I'm not connected to them. I just know that that's who's controlling it now. Sure. So just wanted to give him, I was
going to say, that's why it's so important to bury the hatchet on things and to let grudges go, because you don't know what tomorrow looks like, right? There's going to be fewer people at my Thanksgiving this year than there were last year and the year before that. So, life is precious. Enjoy it while you got it, and make sure you hold on to them and, take that one time, even if it's just, hi, I missed you, how you doing, and a hug. Put it to the side, enjoy the day. Tomorrow you can complain about it, but pick one day and just be nice. Put it all away.
For sure. Well, that's a great place to end it. If you like the podcast, make sure to subscribe. All the different audio versions are out there. Subscribe to one of them. Please give us a good review on Apple Podcasts. And we usually go live on Rumble and YouTube. So check us out there as well. All those things.
I'm Josh Hammerling.
Remember, everyone, the fight to take back the country is not over yet, but the only way to win is we all stand together.
Happy Thanksgiving, gang. See you soon.